I like the progress and steps you've taken to improve the operations within APD. Are providers involved in some of the decision making, such as a paperwork reduction?
Yes, they were, and they are, because when I did that, just so you understand, one of the things I really used the paperwork reduction and also the revision to the quality assurance program that are going to come out. It was almost like an experiment. In the past, the headquarters staff would do what they did, and then the law of the land would be communicated to everyone. And I wanted to see a different take on this. So I said, for this particular issue with paperwork reduction, quality assurance, since they are so inherently operational in nature, let's get the folks that know about operations, the area administrators. And so I appointed a committee of experienced area administrators, and I told the headquarters staff, I said, you're going to now be the staff to them. And they're going to call the shots on this. You're going to provide them information and do, that kind of legwork. And I was really happy with the results. They did go out and they engaged providers in the process of coming up with the initial set of recommendations in the paperwork reduction exercise. And from the reports I got, I didn't personally participate in these meetings, it was very, very easy to achieve consensus on about 99% of the things that wound up in that report. So yeah, we engaged the provider community. We'll continue to engage the provider community. I think we're on a roll right now in terms of how we are working with one another. Not going to say it's perfect. No, nothing ever is, but I think we're on a roll, and I want to keep that momentum going. So we're going to continue to engage, down to the point. It's like I told David, at some point you may get aggravated hearing from us so much, but we're going to keep doing it because we just cannot sit at 4030 Esplanade Way. If you ever want to come see me, that's my address. We just can't sit there and we just can't sit there and come up with all the answers. So yes ma'am, we will definitely.
Why isn't equipment returned when no longer in use and passed on to the next individual who could use it? I will say, though, we have gotten some equipment. It's been, very limited amount, but we have gotten some equipment back that they were no longer able to use and given it to someone that is on the wait list. But definitely not very much.
Okay. Well, this is another one of those that is a new idea for me. I think that I honestly just can't answer. I can't give justice to that question. Sounds like a really good idea to me, and if we can find a way to identify and make that and facilitate that process, those are the kinds of things that really that we should be doing is helping facilitate you all being able to access the services and things that you need. On this one, I would ask that you contact either David Johnson or my office with some ideas on how we might make that happen.
The next one probably is for David Johnson to answer.
Okay.
Is I live in Lake County and I understand that our APD representative no longer works in the county. How are we able to access her? Do we drive to Wildwood? I don't understand who benefits from this. Once again, the family suffers.
It's not that they don't work in the county, they're just not housed in your particular county. One of the things we, as Jim has talked about, is budget deficits, and one of the things that we had to look at was efficiencies and how we could live within our budget. And that was one of the things that we chose to do because we had existing space in our central office that we were paying for and had to pay for enough to take care of and house state support coordinators. So we made a decision to bring them in to our office. They are available and they do make appointments within the counties every week. And so, as far as your availability and access to them, that should not be an issue. And if it is an issue, please call me.
In Central Florida, transportation is very limited. Transportation for the disadvantaged receive high amounts per trip, and other med waiver providers are available. Why is APD held hostage by transportation for the disabled and cannot use the most cost-effective.
Well, if that's really happening, I hope that's going to change, because I just hired the chair of the Transportation Disadvantage Commission. He works for me now, and one thing I told him is, obviously the Transportation Disadvantage Commission is separate from APD, but I think he'll get the idea that I want to make sure our people have a place in line and have access to those resources. And so that, and this individual, his name is J.R. Harding. I don't know if any of you know him. He's a person who has a disability himself. He is a man of great passion about this, and I have real high hopes for the future in this regard. Of course, resource constraints do limit how far those dollars will stretch, but again, I want to make sure that our people get every due consideration, because honestly, they are one of the groups that this Transportation Disadvantage Commission is supposed to serve. The other thing I'd like to look at is how we might more effectively combine the resources we have. And I don't necessarily mean take the money out of our budget, but we have resources in our budget too. Can we coordinate better and hopefully provide more trips, because mobility is freedom. Without that, you can't have a job. It's hard to have a life in a state it's spread out as Florida is if you can't get a ride. So we're definitely working on that.
What is your stand on working with ACA to provide waiver support to those persons who wish to move from a restrictive and expensive ICFDD to a less expensive community residence? At this point, these people must go on the wait list and postpone moving from an institutional setting for an indeterminate period.
The issue there is, if we could set up a system where the money literally could follow the person, we could do that. That's not how the system is today. The money doesn't follow the person. The ICFDD is funded in another agency, and to some extent it's a technicality of just the state's budget process. You literally, it's precluded. We are precluded by law from taking money and moving it from one state agency to another. The second thing is an issue that's just really more of a financial issue, is that when that person leaves, then it creates an obligation. That empty bed can still be filled, so we'd have to. It is a tough issue. But the key to this, I think, would be to come up with some way to make sure that money follows the person, because then it becomes at least cost neutral. And in most instances, I believe it would actually cost less to serve a person in a community-based setting versus an institutional setting.